Hello, my name's Darren Bugg, and in my previous film I asked the question, are Travelodge Super Rooms worth the extra money? As you may know, Travelodge are one of the cheapest budget hotels in the United Kingdom, and for a little bit extra, for about £10 extra a night, you can have a super room. And so in my last film I asked, is it worth paying this extra money? Now, another alternative, if you don't want to spend too much money on a hotel room, is to go for Premier Inn. And in today's film, I'm going to ask the question, are you better off just paying a bit extra and getting a standard room in Premier Inn, or are you better off going to a Travelodge but then paying the premium price for a super room? As I'm sure you'll realise already, Premier Inn are a little bit upmarket on Travelodge, and this is reflected in their prices. So usually, roughly, you'll pay about £10 extra a night, depending on where it is in the United Kingdom, if you stay in a Premier Inn. So you can save money by staying in a Travelodge, but they are very much bargain basement and their rooms are quite basic. So sometimes it's worth just paying that little bit extra for something better. But what do you do? Do you pay extra for a super room at Travelodge, or do you just stay in a basic standard room at Premier Inn? Well, today I'm having a look at a Premier Inn in North London. It's at a place called Hanger Lane, which is just off the North Circular, which is an extremely busy road just north of the centre of London, and it's a bit like a ring road that goes around London. It's very, very busy, and it's a very popular area for hotels, so there's lots of hotels around this particular area of London. So let's just have a look what the room has first of all. Well, swapping all the way around to the other side of the room, you've got the bed, which to begin with, I'd just like to say this bed is incredibly comfortable. And I know that the beds in Travelodge are comfortable as well, but I'd say this is even better. I personally got a very good night's sleep last night. It's a king size, and it has a really comfortable mattress and a very comfortable duvet. And you get the standard light fittings on either side of the bed, so if you're with somebody else, one of you can go to sleep and the other one can stay up all night reading or messing about on your mobile phone or whatever it is your partner does when you're in bed. So yep, first of all, beds very good, certainly as good as Travelodge, probably slightly better. Now the next thing that I noticed was the air conditioning, and it's important to mention this because at Travelodge they don't have, generally speaking, air conditioning in the standard rooms, but they do have it in the super rooms. Well, at the moment it's November and it's not too hot, so it doesn't really matter about air conditioning. But in the middle of summer, especially in a big city like London, you do really need air conditioning, and you won't get it in a standard Travelodge room, so you would have to pay the extra to get air conditioning if you're staying in a Travelodge. In the basic rooms they just give you like a fan, but in all the standard rooms at Premier Inn you do get air conditioning, so that's a big thumbs up for Premier Inn. Over on this side of the room there is what I think is a completely pointless, I don't know if this is what you'd call a sofa. It can be converted into a bed, so I don't know whether they would call this a family room or a double room, but what you do have to bear in mind is it isn't going to be very comfortable if you use it as a bed, and it is a bit pointless as a sofa, and I'll show you why. So if I step back, and they obviously haven't thought this through, and I've seen this in quite a lot of Premier Inns, that is the sofa or bed or whatever you want to call it, and over here is the television. So it's because of the configuration of the room, and a lot of Premier Inns are like this, it's pointless. Why would you want a sofa there? So the only purpose it really serves is if you're travelling with a third person, maybe with a child, then you have got this extra mattress, bed, whatever you'd call it. It's not going to be comfortable for more than a night or a couple of nights, but as an alternative to a sofa it's pointless because it's just facing to the bed, and really you want it to be watching the TV. Now in Travelodge Super Rooms, and if you watch my previous film you'll see what I'm talking about, they've actually thought this through and they provide a very nice comfortable chair which faces the television. So if you do want to watch TV at night you've got a comfy chair, which you don't have here in the Premier Inn. I have seen it in other Premier Inns. I do need to point out that obviously there are variations between them. There aren't many variations. Most Premier Inns are pretty standardised. But I stayed in one a few months ago which was closer to the centre of London, and they didn't have the sofa but they did have a comfortable chair. The chair you get here at Premier Inn is okay. I think I prefer the one they provide in the Travelodge Super Room. The one that they provide in the Travelodge Basic Room is one of those horrible plastic bucket chairs which are very uncomfortable. So these are alright, but I do prefer the ones that Travelodge Super Rooms have. And you get your standard desk, which you get in all hotels really. The quality is going to depend on how much you pay. This is pretty much similar to the Travelodge Super Room. It's better than the desk you get in a standard room at Travelodge. As I always say in my films, they don't provide the wine or the water or whatever. They didn't provide the wine glass either, but I went down to the bar and they gave me a wine glass, but you do have to ask for it. And then obviously a menu and plenty of sockets to plug in whatever you want to charge up. I'm charging my phone up here. The Travelodge Super Rooms are slightly better because they have a USB charging point. You see here you've got to bring your own charger, but in the Travelodge Super Rooms they have a charging point where you can just plug it straight in. You don't need that charger. They don't have that in the basic Travelodge, just the Super Rooms, but here in Premier Inn they don't have it at all. So while we're talking about refreshments, over to, again, you'll be very familiar with this. You get your kettle, you get a couple of mugs, you get a couple of spoons, you get a couple of glasses, and you get virtually no coffee or milk. So this is well stocked, but only because I had to go down to reception and ask for some more. They gave me 2 measly little coffee sachets and a couple of milk sachets. Completely pointless. I think they're doing that to be stingy because they know that people will just put them in the bag and take them home with them. So they only give you a couple, and if you want more you have to go down to reception. And I had to wait ages as well at reception. It's only a minor grumble, but because they just give you so little, I wasted about half an hour at reception trying to get some more coffee. Now, one big difference, it depends whether you're a coffee lover or not, but one big difference, in the Travelodge Super Rooms, they give you that Lavazza coffee machine with the pods, which are very, very tasty. They taste far nicer than the coffee granules. If you saw my previous film, you'll know that the problem is they don't give you many pods, so you have to go down to reception and get some more coffee pods, or do what I did, which you'll already know if you watch my other film, which is go to your local branch of John Lewis, because it's one of the only shops in the country that actually sell the Lavazza Miyamoto coffee machines and the pods. So you can't just get a Nespresso pod, which is sold in all the supermarkets. You have to get a Lavazza one, and they're very hard to come by. So that was a bit of an issue the last time I stayed in a Travelodge Super Room, and they didn't actually have any of the pods. They had the wonderful machine, which is great, but they didn't have the pods. Well, here they don't even have the machine, you just got a kettle. So pretty vile coffee, but what do you expect for 50 quid a night? The usual thing that you get in just about every hotel in the world, somewhere to hang up your clothes. They never ever give enough coat hangers. Again, as I mentioned in my previous film, you can stay in the Ritz, you could stay in the Savoy, you could pay £1,000 a night and they still won't give you enough coat hangers, but you just have to manage or bring your own from home. One thing that Premier Inn have that Travelodge don't have is a hairdryer as standard in every room, which is great because I love having a hairdryer, and I usually have to carry my own, which is fine if you travel in a car, but if you're travelling, say, by train, if you don't have a lot of baggage room, then you don't want to be lumping around a great big hairdryer with you. So it's quite good that they do provide the hairdryer. You do get a hairdryer as standard in a Travelodge Super Room, but you don't get a hairdryer in a Travelodge standard room, although they do provide, if they've got any available, they will give you one if you go to reception at Travelodge, but sometimes they've run out. So that is, for me personally, it's a big bonus. I do like having a hairdryer in my room, but then some people might not be that bothered at all about it. It's really just personal taste whether you want a hairdryer. I like one, some people aren't bothered. But you get that as standard in the Premier Inn. You don't get it as standard in the Travelodge, but you do get it in the Travelodge Super Room. Okay, so that's your unit for your clothes. You've got a spare duvet up on the top of this wardrobe unit, and then a bit more storage space, and obviously the bin. It's all very, very standardised. Okay, let's have a look in the bathroom. There is one very big advantage of the Premier Inn when it comes to the bathroom. You may have already spotted it. If not, I'll tell you in a moment. Here we go, then you've got your mirror, which you get in just about every hotel, from the very expensive to the very cheap hotels. They've all got one of these big mirrors with the lighting, and your toilet, and obviously not a bidet, which I think is a shame. British hotels don't have bidets, whereas you do get them in just about every European hotel. And your wash basin, which is fine, and your soap, which is pretty normal, and your shower. And I prefer the showers in the Travelodge Super Rooms because they're not fixed, whereas here you see they're fixed to the wall, and I find that really annoying because you can't take it off the wall and sort of wash the different bits of your body that you want to wash. And I like to take the shower head off the wall and wash my bits. And I can't do that with this because it doesn't come off the wall, it's fixed to the wall. In nearly every Travelodge I've been in, they're not fixed, which is, it might sound like a really minor thing, but I find it much better to be able to take your shower head off the wall, because you can wash whatever parts of your body you want to wash, which obviously you can't do with this. But the big thing I mentioned, I said you may have already noticed, is ta-da! The bath. Now, nearly every Travelodge I've stayed in, well, certainly in London, I've stayed in nearly every Travelodge in London, doesn't have a bath. In fact, all over the country, most Travelodges don't have a bath. Even if you book a Travelodge Super Room, you're not going to get a bath. Whereas Premier Inns, not always, but usually do have a bath. And it depends, some people aren't bothered. Some people love to have a bath, and personally I think this is a great addition. So for me, big thumbs up, because Premier Inn have a bath and Travelodge don't have a bath, even in the Super Room. So if you want a bath, Travelodge is not the place to stay, because it's unlikely you'll get a bath. In Premier Inn you will get a bath. It's a shame that they haven't just put a little bit of mould killer in the corner here, and it's only a minor thing, and I know that all the hotels are different. The one I'm staying in seems to be very clean. I'll give it 8 out of 10 for cleanliness, but if you just look there, and just in that corner right there, just a little bit of mould. And I don't want to be too petty about this, because I'm only paying £49 tonight for this. It's a Saturday night. The hotel's full, 49 quid. I can't really complain, but it's such a minor thing. I mean, a bit of Kilrock mould killer just sprayed on there. It would take about 2 minutes, and that would get rid of that mould. The rest of the bath is pretty clean. I mean, well, to be honest, the whole room is clean. I've been impressed by the cleanliness. It's just a shame, it's only a minor thing, but it would have been quite nice if they could have just got rid of the mould, the black mould. It wouldn't have taken more than a few pence worth of black mould killer. So that's the room. As I say, you've got your chair, your sofa, which I haven't used at all. It's pointless. I don't know why they even bother, unless you use it as a spare bed, but I only wanted a double room anyway. You've got your standard desk, you've got plenty of sockets, you've got a television, which is disappointing for several reasons. Firstly, it's only a small one. I'm not sure of the size. I think it's a 24-inch. It might be a 26-inch. In the Travelodge Super Rooms, they give you a 32-inch Samsung television, so it's a lot bigger. And that is quite nice at night, to have a bigger telly. These are only small TVs. Now, this is the size of television you get in a standard room in Travelodge. But But if you go in a super room, you get a 32-inch flat screen TV, which is much better. Now, I'm moving back so that you can see the problem here. I'm moving back further, further, further. Now, bear in mind, I can't sit on here because I'd be facing that wall. So instead, I've got to watch TV in bed. So I'll just sit on my bed here. And there you go. So this is the view I would get if I was watching television in bed. And you can see the problem. It is, to be fair to Premier Inn, this is quite a large room. It is very spacious. Last time I was in London, I stayed in a Premier Inn closer to the centre of London, and the room wasn't as spacious. But you can see the massive problem here. You can't sit on the sofa to watch TV because it's facing in the wrong direction. So you've got to watch TV in bed, and you can hardly see it. It's so far away and it's so small. It really needs a 32-inch TV. This is almost pointless. They could have possibly put the TV on the desk there, but then if you wanted to do some work on your laptop computer, you wouldn't be able to. So that is a minus point for me with Premier Inn. Small TV, and it's miles away from the bed. In fact, the whole layout of the room hasn't been thought out very clearly, because you do have lots and lots of space. I mean, I'm impressed by just how spacious the room is. There's lots of room, but they haven't thought through the layout of the room at all. So you've got all this empty space here on the floor. You can see how big the room is, but then you've got a pointless sofa pointing in the wrong direction, a tiny TV miles away from the bed, and they haven't really given it much thought. So, a negative point for the TV, Travelodge Super Rooms much better, but the Premier Inn does have the big advantage of having the bath and also having the hairdryer. But as I did say, you can, even in a basic Travelodge, you can go to reception and ask them for a hairdryer. So if it really bothers you, which it does me, then it doesn't really matter because you can get one from reception. So it's swings and roundabouts, really. That's an expression which, if you haven't heard the expression before, it means some things are better with Travelodge and some things are better with Premier Inn. Premier Inn scores extra points definitely on being more spacious, on having the bath, I think having a very comfortable bed, and also having the air conditioning as standard. Whereas the Travelodge has a much better television, they have a much better coffee maker, as long as they provide the pods, the Lavazza pods that you need. And I also like the chairs. They have a really nice comfortable chair that you can face the TV and watch TV in the evenings. So some advantages of Premier Inn, some advantages of Travelodge. I think I would sum up by saying that a Premier Inn standard room is definitely better than a Travelodge standard room, but they are going to be about £10 a night more expensive. So the alternative is to get a Travelodge Super Room, which would be about the same price as a standard room in Premier Inn, and I'm not sure which one I would prefer. I think I would probably choose the Travelodge Super Room. I think on balance, apart from the bath, which as I say is nice, and probably apart from the bed, which is slightly better in Premier Inn, I would say, given the choice, all things being equal, I would choose the Super Room at Travelodge for the better coffee maker and the better TV. But there's not a lot in it really, and the prices are going to be fairly similar. I would stress that this particular Premier Inn is in an area outside the centre of London, so it's quite spacious. If you go right into the centre of London, the rooms in Premier Inns are smaller, and I know I have tried them out and they are smaller. Travelodge generally, I think the rooms are smaller. That's not something that bothers me. I'm not bothered about a small room, I'm bothered about the facilities that are in the room. This particular Premier Inn is at Hanger Lane, cost me £49 for a Saturday night. I'm also staying previous night, which was about £34, so it's cheaper in the week. Obviously Saturday's a bit more expensive. It's a fantastic location. It's right next to the tube station. It takes 2 minutes to walk to the underground, which is really useful. Fantastic car park underneath as well. It's kind of an underground car park. There are plenty of spaces, even though I know the hotel is full today. There are plenty of spaces in the car park. It's £12 a day to park, which I think for London is actually very, very reasonable. And it's very convenient if you're travelling to London from the north or from the west. It won't be convenient if you're travelling from the south or from the east, but from the north or the west. Very handy for Wembley Stadium, very handy for Heathrow Airport, or if you're travelling from the north of England or the west of England. So would I stay here again? Well, if there was a Travelodge next door that was the same price for a super room, I would choose the Travelodge. But there isn't. And I do like the convenience of being right next to the tube station and the parking. So yes, I would stay here again, but I would say all other things being equal, having stayed here several times and at several different Premier Inns, my own personal opinion is I think the Travelodge Super Rooms are actually slightly better. And if the price was the same, then in answer to my original question, I would choose a Travelodge Super Room over a standard room at Premier Inn.